everybody, I'm here in my garage studio with my yard tools behind me and everything. I just thought I'd do a quick throwing demo, kind of how I do things. One of the things that I do is I use a bat on my wheel so that I don't have to remove the item that I make from the bat until it's a little bit more dry, because if you move something and it gets a little warped during that process, and you even move it so it's back normal, a lot of times it will warp in the final firing. So I use little bat pins on my wheel. I use 2 little bat pins, and then I put the bat on there. And I oftentimes use a big sponge. This is actually half of a big sponge, and I cut it up into this size to use for my throwing. And I'm going to show you how I do my throwing. Throwing was a hard thing for me. One thing that I do is I kind of move that clay so it's the clay particles are moving around a little bit. And I try and make it as much of a ball as I can to make it as even as I can. And then I throw it down on the wheel and try and center it as best I can. Then I take and I get a little water on there. And of course it's not in center. And it's got to be moving pretty fast. I put this hand on there to steady it, and this one I push down on. Because if you push them both together, one of them's going to push more than the other, and it'll push it right off the wheel. So you got to be pushing it down. And then you can pull them up. And of course it isn't centered yet. I use my thumb on the top to kind of smooth the top down as well. One thing, when I was first learning how to throw, I had a really hard time because I get the top centered but the bottom wouldn't be centered. And so a lot of times I would just cheat. I would take this little thing and I would smooth it along the bottom to get the bottom more even, and that helped me to begin with until I really got it. So I bring it up, and then when I push it down it kind of helps to center the bottom. And you want to take off this little part along the bottom where it's uneven. And see, this is not perfectly even on the bottom. And so what I used to do is I would take and I would just go like this, and it would even that out on the bottom. Nowadays I'm able to do it without that, but so then I take my thumb and I put it in the middle. And once I have that little hole made, then I take my 3 fingers here and I put them down in there. And you've got to always make sure that you have water on your fingers so that it doesn't stick to your hands, because if it sticks then it throws it off. So then you want to get it down as far as you want it to be, And if you don't know how far it is down, you can take the needle tool, put it down there to see how close it is to the bottom. That's a little close. You probably don't want it quite that much. So I can actually push down in there, push some of the sides down in there and make it a little deeper or a little less deep. So then I want to even off the outside rim. So I take these two fingers and put them next to it, and this finger put it on top, and then squeeze and push very gently. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to put my fingers down in there and push out and then up. That way I have enough room to put my fingers down in there. So now I'm going to pull. I'm going to be doing some pulling so that it'll come up and out. So to do that, I take and I put a little water on the inside, a little water on the outside, putting it on my thumb so that it goes down where I want it to be. Squeeze out my sponge. Then I take this hand and I put these fingers right on the edge and I push out so that I can see out here where that's going to be. Then I take this finger here and I put it underneath with the sponge, and I have slowed down my wheel quite a bit compared to when I'm centering. So here it comes. It's going to come up. And I keep my hands as much together as I can. They support each other and keep a firm grip. Then every time I pull up, I'm going to even off the top, which also compresses the sides. And I'm going to clean out the water on the inside and press down so that I don't get an S crack. Because S cracks are when it's not compressed enough down in the bottom there. So I'm going to do another pulling, put a little more water in there, a little more on the outside, squeeze out my sponge, put this hand down in there, push out a little bit, and then put this finger underneath that one. And they work together. See how my hands are connected, and we just pull up. Then we do the edge. And clean out and compress the inside. So now I'm going to give it more shape. I can do that with my rib. So I can use any number of ribs. I even have one that goes way down in there and I can push out with it. So this time I think I'm going to use this rib and I'm going to make this into a bowl. And I'm going to go along the edge at an angle. I'm going to push out from the inside, and then I move it up the side as I'm going. And as I do that, it thins it out also. Because when you're going out, it thins it out. If you're squeezing it in, then it thickens it up. And then I make the top nice and firm again, because I don't want it to get flimsy there on the edge. So there's a lot of things you can do from the cylinder shape. You can go up and then pull it out and make a bowl, or you can just go up and make some shape in the bottom to make a vase. Now if I wanted to have this go in, I would cone it in with both hands. But I'm not going to do that for this one. I'm just going to make it into a nice little bowl. Actually might end up being a little soup mug. Probably about the right size for that. So this is about probably a pound or a pound and a half of clay. And I can kind of play around with this. I can support it while I'm going on the outside to shape it also. So there's a little bowl. And that's how I do my throwing. Then when I'm done throwing, I usually clean off the bat a little bit. And then I take this tool and I go around the bottom, make kind of a little place to put the wire. Now if I were going to take this off of here, I would put a little water in front, a little water in back, and then I would pull with the wire a couple of times, and that water would go under there and it would make this start moving. And then I would be able to just slide it off, and I'd put water on the wear board that I'm going to put it on so that it would just slide right onto there. But what I'm going to do right now is just cut it with the wire and let it set for a while until it firms up so that I don't have any wobble or warping on it. So that's my video for today. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments, and please like and share and subscribe, and see you next time.